How's it going, Scrub Gamers? It's your boy Scrub Games coming at you with a juicy new piece of content for you to enjoy. But before we do get into the topic of the video, I just want to let you know how you can help support the channel, and that is by checking out Firestorm Games using my affiliate link in the description box below. Because Firestorm Games offer a whole host of products for almost every kind of hobby there is, be it Dragon Ball Super, Pokemon, One Piece, you name it, and they'll likely have it, and at some quality prices too. So just make sure to click the link below and check them out to see the whole host of products they offer while helping support the channel. And also, remember, there's another way to help out the channel, and that's by dropping a like, leaving a comment on the video, and best of all, hitting that subscribe button to keep up to date with my content when it drops. Because I'm still on the road to 1k subs, I'm looking to hit that by the year's end. But now we've got all that sorted, let's dive into the topic of the video. Alright then, Scrub Gamers, let's get into the topic of the video, being the Raid and Trade September Webcam Regional Breakdown with deck lists. So, with this format, like the same as we've had for all the other webcam events in the EU, well, I think in most places, but then especially in the EU, we've had the format as being best of one Preside. Best kind of way to play it is play the format, because best of three online takes way too long, because it's long enough as well being on webcam, but also having that pre-side means that it's not as bad as the old days when we had just normal best of one where you can just get completely destroyed by your worst matchup because you can't side. So having best of one pre-side, best way to do it online, that's what we have. And in number of rounds we had was 5. I do have a little thing at the bottom to say it was 6 rounds were planned, but one undefeated was we had one undefeated after round 5, which cut it short. So it was meant to be 6 rounds, but after once round 4 finished, we had 3 undefeated, and then going into when we went into round 5, the two undefeateds played each other. One of them obviously took it and was now undefeated, the other one wasn't. And the other undefeated that got paired down ended up losing his match, so then there's only one defeated at the end of it, hence it cut off at 5 rounds, which is great, because given the heat we've had in the UK, we're glad to have it finishing them. And it just made it a little bit easier, cut it short, to the rest of our day. So that's why it was 5 rounds instead of 6 rounds, even though 6 rounds was the intended target. And we had the registered players at the beginning of the tournament being 55. We had 55 players because we had 27 tables, as far as I'm aware. And then, 27 full tables of people playing. And then table 28 had one person on it with the bye for the first round. And another thing to notice, and well, not notice, but note, is that set 22 was legal for the event. So set 22 was legal for the online event, which meant we saw a fair few set 22 decks in there, and people had to prepare for that. And that's what's given us our breakdown. So if we go to have a look and see what the top decks were. So let's have a look. So we can see that we had quite a few decks. It's quite interesting and pretty good format where it's not just like one or two decks, like not back like when we had first with Sin and Gogeta, 2 decks being horribly dominant, with you can't really making it so you can't really play a deck unless it had like a decent matchup into them or get way to challenge them. We've got a ton of different decks being played. So in this one we can see that we had 11 different decks, so that's really nice, 11 different decks, and showing off all the colours, even though one of the colours, being red, wasn't as well represented. Well, not well represented, but didn't do as well as the other colours. Still, nice to see all the colours in the top cup. So you can see that the most of any colour we had was blue, being three of the new Aegis Gogeta deck, 1 Expert 21, no of the other Android 21, the set 21 Android 21. It's just the Expert 21, the hand control one, and then the other blue deck being Reboot Soul Striker. So no Oob like we've seen people play in Never events and stuff like that. So one just generic good stuff one hand control, and 3 of the new one. So that's quite interesting. And we go to the next colour that was the most represented, being black, with 3 SSG trunks, as that's a deck that's loved in the EU. The EU loves its SSG trunks. And also 1 Hatchak as well. So Hatchak sneaking in. Love to see a bit of Hatchak, but I know a lot of people don't like playing against it because even if people feel it's quite slow, it's not the deck that's slow because it doesn't take long to just go swing the lead. So you can use and swing the battle card and pass. It's more the opponent plays quite slowly because they need to take time to think about how to sequence the turn because you need to make sure you're sequencing properly the defeat hat check, not really the hat check player being slow. They just defend themselves to try and win like any other deck does. Then we go to the next color being green. That's right, green. I know that with the with the emergence of Green Gohan, it brought a load of green. But even though it was never a situation like with Sin and Gogeta, where it wasn't actually the color getting a boost, it was just an insanely busted deck coming out in that color. Like how red wasn't busted, Sin and Gogeta were busted. It just happened to be that color, and it was Green Gohan. But now we've got another green deck that's actually done pretty well as well, being Green Goten as well, the new Green Goten deck. So we had 2 green Gohan and 1 green Goten. Even Goten, well, Gohan dropping down and not being so like not seeing tons of them like we originally saw when it first came out. Not a ton of them, just 2 of them in there, which is showing that people have actually learned how to play against it. And then with the green Goten, the new deck coming out, that's performing and hyped to do pretty well. Then we go on to the colour after that. That's got at least 3, being yellow. So yellow not as getting much, like not as many representing, even though like it's arguably the one of the best colour in the game, like consistency throughout the game's history. And nice to see we got 3 different decks for that colour, being Golden Friesen, one that's seen to be doing well and what people have hoped would get hit some way, or people expecting it to be banned, weirdly. And then we got Frieza Swap, so never Frieza deck, the new swap one. So coming in and actually doing quite well. And we got the Powerbomb Goku, which we've seen from with the Magic Vegeta. It's a pretty good deck, forcing quite a big kill swing. So it's quite interesting to see no Magic Vegeta. That's one of the best, well, a very strong yellow deck, and arguably stronger than the Ever 2, not the gold, maybe not Golden Frieza, but stronger than the Ever 2. And it's just interesting to see that not a single Magic Vegeta made it up. And then we got the one red deck being Reboot Pan. So Pan probably like people. I know people say this is the best red deck in the game for red, but it's not that great a deck. It's just a standard generic beatdown deck. There's better red decks that have like a stronger push, stronger plays, and it just This it's quite. I don't know how this got through, but it managed to do it. So congrats to the player. So that is the breakdown. So that is all the decks. Now we're going to go through each of the lists and the players behind the decks as well. So let's check it out. So checking out the first place, we've got Green Goten. So that is the deck that took first place, and one of the new decks as well. So one of the new decks from set 22 is what took the event on its first showing in a event in the world really. First event using set 22, and it was the Green Goten. And as we can see from the deck, we can see that it's using the archetype stuff, so the 1-drops and the big 8-drop for it. Then the rest of the deck is basically good green stuff. Just generic good green stuff with floodgates like the Dormant Potential and also the new Unawakening Rage Fate, I can't remember what it's called. And also to get more out of the leader's effect, having the Freezer's Healing Pod, because if you don't know with the leader, when it awakens, it's got an effect which it's way the draw on its own. Most leaders have it, so when they swing, they get the draw. But with this, you get to have a draw by playing a one. You just use the effect to play from your drop or your hand a 1-drop Goku or Goten, or Gohan Adolescence or Goten, and they have effects for when they're played to draw 1. So you use the effect, play one of those when you drop in rest mode, use the effect to draw 1, and then the Freezer Healing Pod will then draw you additional 1 as well every turn. So you can the next turn swing combo off, let go of the drop, or put in the energy, use it, and then bring it back for free to then gain draw 2 a turn. Now that's pretty cool, and also we can see, interestingly enough, the overall choice being Secret ID. And I'm not sure why they didn't go for Heated Fighting Spirit, I think it's called, for the Vegeta one, because that's quite a good one, like a beefier guy and removal as well. But this one might have been used because it can hit a few more targets than just one, like with Vegeta. Maybe, and also Secret Rare choice being the newfound might, because interesting, most of the time when you see decks running secret rares, it's normally the same color as the deck, or if there's not running one the same color as the deck, it's normally a black one because black ones are quite generic. But in this case, they're using Newfound Might because with Newfound Might, it can be used if your leader is yellow, a Piccolo, or a Gohan Adolescence. And lo and behold, when this leader awakens, it becomes a Gohan Adolescence because Gohan joins Goten to fight Broly, if you don't know from the movie. Hence why this could be used, and it's a pretty good one, especially where combined with the Z extra, you can go for a very good, very big finishing swing, which is pretty cool. Z deck is to be expected, just good green Z or C cards with the new ones that come with the deck, and then everyone's like you've got your Jiro, which is like the green version is surmounting, not as great because surmounting doesn't require certain things beforehand, like having to have a green card in hand to put back before doing all the effects. And the new Broly is one as well, as a good generic green Z battle card. And then for the side, we've got nothing too special. We've got the Boo in there to deal with the new Gogeta deck, to deal with the secret rare, just negate skills to get rid of it. You've got the Hunt for the Demon God, being a way like a counter for the deck to deal with some one cost floodgates that are in play for free. And then you've got Daisy's Rest for hand control, and you've got the little weenies to deal with certain things, like you've got for D-Magic, for hand control, for under 21s, untapping, floodgates, and then Meki there just to basically play down and lock out a certain card you're worried about. So that is it. That's the one. That's it for the first place one. That's what took and won the event. Nice to see green doing well outside of just one good deck, one green deck, which is pretty cool. And good job to Paul for taking the win. So let's go and have a look at the second place now. So for second place, we have Ivan Serrano, one of the Serrano brothers, taking second place with Golden Frieza. So this is the one Golden Frieza that made it top 16. So nothing really much to say. Like nothing's really changed from the new set for set 22 being Leo. And as we can see, it's basically the same kind of deck as we've seen for the last format or two. And yeah, even with the only not much really that's in there, just maybe more Final Flash being used in the other decks to deal with the new Gogeta secret rare for the Aegis Gogeta deck, be able to shut that skills off so you can then go ahead and yeah, get rid of it. But outside that, nothing special, nothing's changed, just what you expect from Golden Frieza. So good job, Ivan, for getting second. Now let's move on to third place and have a look and see what came third. So for third place, we have Francisco Sanchez, and taking third with Green Gohan. So one of the two Green Gohan decks taken up to third place. And really, there's nothing really new that's come in from the new set that I can see. Nothing's really changed. I think, yeah, there's nothing really has changed for this deck. Same thing as before, just maybe like the use of the invasions command unison is. I'm not sure if that was used before. Maybe to help deal with the Gogeta. If you want to try and send it, try and force it. Because I think it's only one. I can't remember if it's once per turn or not. You can save the card. But yeah, like just standard green Gohan doing pretty well, and managed to get him to third place. So good job, Francisco. Well, good, yeah, well played. So let's move on to fourth place and have a look at what we got in fourth. And here we have the fourth place. Fourth place being the ever Green Gohans, so both Green Gohans made the top four, coming in third and fourth, and this one being piloted by Bradley Jones, member of our team, Team -2, and Brad's a guy who's been trying to improve, trying to get better at the game, and this result right here, and the result, I think he topped the last one as well, and just showing these results, showing that he's improving and doing better, like, and it's just nice to see him do well. Like, good job, super proud of Brad, and this is what he went with for his deck. So a little bit similar to the other one, just it's got but instead it's got a different secret rare. Instead of the Pan secret rare, it's got the Goku one to help push more pressure with the lead, like triple strike, things like that. And also with some rat as well for some cheap card that come down and threaten and punish players when doing damage if they just decide to let it go through and try to let it go through and try to combo out, or use a negate on it just to stop this one quite cheap swing from going through. And still being a 20k body means they have to try and get rid of it. If they can't pop it by defect, they have to run over it, and 20k means they've got to put a little bit of investment in. And with the side deck, we see is a little bit different as well with the side. Like Z deck is a bit the same as far as I remember. And with the side deck, we've got the Freezer Unison in the side to help like to space side in for wider boards. Just pop and have a different way to win. Maybe against like yellow when they repulse, having the unison come down to be not to then not have to worry really about too much about resting stuff when it swings. And then some Shin to help deal with big drops that come down early. Interesting one is with the cell though. I'm not sure about the cell because as you probably know, I've been out of the game for the last 2 months, and I think we will be getting a deck profile of Brad's deck on Big O's channel. So if you want to go and check out Big O, I'll put a link to it when it goes up in this video description. So if you want to check that out and get a more in-depth understanding about this deck and Brad's point of view from it, go check out. I would recommend it because Brad is a lovely guy and showing to be a fantastic player, improving every time. So that is 4th place. Let's go and have a look at 5th place. So for 5th place, we've got one of the blue decks, and this one being, I think the highest playing blue deck. Yeah, the highest playing blue deck being the Expert 21, and even though it's always the same with the Ender 21, this one's a little bit different than main because I'm so used to seeing Ollie and Tom's Ender 21 being quite similar, like very few changes between, and quite mostly the standard. I think most people play the deck go by since Ollie's been very successful in his piloting of it. A few different ones in this, so we can see that there's only one bean in the main with 2 in the side, and in the main we've got the creator's way to search for any Android you want from the deck, because someone's got Android in the name, and the Android 18 counterplay, and also one copy of the Gamma 1 plus some main decked Deity's Wrath, because you've got plenty of types to get that, being the Bad Omen, you've got that Super 21, well, you've even got the Key Channel as a way to get that out and drop that down early. And there's only really, well, kind of yellow and red can deal with it. Blue can't really deal too much unless you want to invest a lot for just this card that comes down for quite cheap. And side deck being the standard for the side deck, and then for the Z deck being the standard for the Z deck, and the side we got that tapping on the deal with the Gogeta for the new Gogeta deck, the Aegis one. One full power counter in the side, and some help for awakening certain things like since we don't have Dirty Burst, you've got the Shin in there to deal with the big guys coming down early, and the Android 17 to help give some more kind of life taking. You need to get down to 6 life to awaken. If you can't do that and your opponent stalls you off, you can have a harder time. And then, as we can see in the main, there's not really anything to take life that I can see, apart from maybe a D magic if you fill up your drop enough. Outside of that, you've only really got a self-awake. Well, you got self-awake from the Android 21 and the Jiro, but there's potential counterplays to the Android 21 if B as well. So that could be quite. But then Preside S1, if you go into a matchup where you think you might need more, you can always switch it in. So that's not a bad choice. So congrats to Debbie for coming 5th place. Very good job. And we'll move on to 6th place to see what we got there. So coming in the 6th place, we've got Manuel GARCIA being the 6th place and the highest placing Gogeta deck. As you can see, it's gone for the Gogeta Secret Rare as one of the most expensive ones, but a lot more heavier on the blue-yellow kind of stuff with a few rival shenanigans with the Kefla and ways to combo Tora in, because you need to get 2 in there, and you need easy ways if you want to rival in the Kefla. So you've got the hit and the Goku hit, and also some main deck Frost Deadly Poison as well to deal with, which is a very good card to deal with the cooler secret rare in some decks, and any big boss card that's not got deflect, you can just not really care about it. And since you can open get open 2 energy for free a turn when you get to your Z lead, just by having out of Veku or Gogeta, that's pretty decent. Just make sure you got enough energy for it as well, because you got Bean and you got Aegis as well to get that enough energy out. And the side deck seems pretty standard. We got the Oolong as I think this amongst the Z deck is the same most of them, apart from the difference in just one. This one being Oolong being a card that could be very, very strong. Just for 1 energy, come down, copy the biggest thing on the board, and swing for a hefty swing for 1 energy. It's pretty good. And then we got in the side some interesting ones to the side. most of them seem quite standard. We got the Nimbus for Floodgate, Matita to deal with big things coming down early because you're yellow, you can play it. Survival for Tide because you always got to worry about Tide because it's still around in blue decks. As long as blue decks are decent, you got there. And an interesting one we got is the Kefla. Now with this Kefla, it's in there because it's second auto, which when it's during your turn when it's played, you can you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, which is the rest, and negate its skills as well until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you bring that, you rival that, you swing and rival that in, negate things like the Gogeta's skill, like rest it and negate its skills. It can't use Aegis, it can't block or use any skills on it until the end of your opponent's next turn, meaning it can't use it in their turn either for its skills. So it's a really nice card, and is a rival for one. Very easy doing this, and given that it's quite heavy on the rival stuff. And then we've got the 2 copies of the blue unnegatable negate, which is very nice, quite cool to see, because with decks trying to push through big swings, forcing through with counters, you want some negates that say no, you can't stop this. It's just basically a firm no. And then we'll see UI Kamehameha for extra common power and black smoke for some removal. So good job, Manuel, for coming 6th and being the high place Gogeta. And let's check out and see what we got for 7th. So for 7th place, we've got the only red deck that made it in top 16, coming all the way up in 7th, so quite a good performance for this deck. I think even higher than most of the black decks, which is quite interesting. And we've got his pan, so we can see how it is, just like generic beatdown, just good value, just standard beatdown with some good red tools, a lot of removal. There's not much really to go over. Like it's gone for its super combo, and it's gone for a little bit of red yellow, but like the basic of red yellow, just having the Beerus, the TP Beerus Overrealm. That's a pretty good one, and then the Beerus super combo because it still is the only real draw multicolor super combo. Just to have that, those options, you can get a bigger benefit from the super combo if you hit another super combo or a Beerus off it to get a even wider effect in difference in combo in power difference on its battle. And then the standard, just good red, just basically just good dark red deck with a little bit like a tiny little splash of red yellow. So, what's it? The Z deck. We got to see the standard of the 3 of the SS4 Gogeta because that's one of the biggest ways to kill in this. Put a lot of pressure, like set out to be a big barrier deflect attacker. It can swing twice, put through some heavy damage, and keep doing it turn after turn. That's one of your main plays. That's always available. And then the side deck just basic cards to help deal with it. We see like the reds using the red unnegatable negate. Every cards to help out for different matchups. So good job to Raphael. And now we'll move to the the 8th place, so finishing at the top 8 with 8th. So for 8th place, we got the person none other than Big O Notatia, Ollie Simmons, taking 8th place with his Freezer swap. Like I know yellow isn't really the most favorite color of Ollie, but he's been trying out different things and trying out different decks, going into different colors rather than just blue and black's the main ones he plays, and putting a good showing for Freezer swap as well. So pretty good with the list. Preside, I imagine he's going to do a deck. He's going to do a deck profile on this on his own channel to go more in depth. So I'll link that below as well. So if you want to go and check out from the mind of Ollie about this deck, about his tech choices, like his information about his matches and stuff like that, go ahead and check that out. Highly recommend it because he goes quite detailed, quite in depth, and it's always a very good watch, always good to listen as well. So I won't go over more than that because he explained it himself. And once again, another rep for Team -2 taking being in top 4 and top 8, and once again in top, which we'll see in a little bit. So with top 8 out of the way, let's go on to the rest of the top 16. Start from 9th. So coming into 9th place, going into the top 16, rest of the top 16, we've got the Powerbomb Goku. So the Powerbomb Goku, I think that came along with in the last set, alongside with the Magic Vegeta. Not as well, like not as hyped up as the Magic Vegeta was, but still, people do. It is quite an interesting deck. Different way to play the Magic Vegeta, and as you've seen, it's done well. I don't know how many Magic Vegetas there were, how compared to the rest of the decks. Like we don't know what the breakdown of all the different decks were in the tournament, but we do have a knowledge of this one, and it looks pretty The interesting thing about this is only one copy of each of the masters, one copy of Roshi and one copy of Shen, which is interesting. Normally you go for 2-2, so that way if you got, because otherwise if you got one of these in life, you have to try and dig for it in life, and you don't dig as much as you do for Magic Vegeta, try and find them. And normally those cards are ones that once you get on board and keep using the effect, you dig for your deck so much you get overall advantage in a huge hand size. Not only that, normally with this deck you see the Nagohon, Newfound Might secret rare. So when you're going for a big ass swing on your Z leader to get basically final push for that using the Spirit Bomb deck, Spirit Bomb fill card, you also have that card to push through extra, like more combo power to push through a huge swing. But instead of that, we've got the Cell Max, not Cell Max, Cell Zeno as well, which is still a good choice because you can easily get out. You've got 8 drops you can chop for quite cheap, 4 drops got a long side with it, easy ways to get to 12 cost of yellow cards on the board to drop it, and it's very easy for yellow decks to kind of hold off defensively with their great defensive capabilities, to hold off until turn 5 to get a good use of this, because then you come down, threaten 2 quad strikes at 40k. Plus, you also get to rip out 3 cards from your opponent's hand, which is a nice bit of hand control. And if you drop the 8-drop Goku beforehand, you can swing with that to try and tap your opponent's energy down so they've got less energy to use to defend themselves. And then finish off with that, which is really cool. Especially since that costs 2 energy and you've got the cooler counter, the force through a cell swing that costs 3. So turn 5 when you got that live, you've got the rights up then, as long as you've got at least a 1 cost if you do the cooler as well, or a 4-drop already on play. So, pretty standard for the deck, apart from, interestingly enough, only one each of the masters. Then we have the Z deck being pretty standard, nothing's really different apart from that 1 C extra to give a bit of boost to your Goku cards, especially when you got, and also being a yellow extra card in the battle area, it allows you to get the draw when you play the Goku. And in the side deck being nothing really different, just yeah, you've got more ways to negate skills to help deal with Gogeta and stuff like that. Nothing's really changed much in terms of text for the side. So that is ninth place. Good job, Thomas. And we'll go into see what we got for 10th. So for 10th, we've got Ivan Garcia, the one who won I can't remember the last. I think the first regional we had when we had the Green Gohan deck exist and come into the format, and he's come down with another new deck, and this time being the Aegis Gogeta, so the second of the Aegis Gogeta decks we've seen in the tournament, and a little bit different to the other one because if you notice that the doesn't play the new Gogeta Secret Rare. Not interested to know why. If it's because it didn't have access to it, wasn't able to get hold of one, or if it was something like either couldn't get hold of a secret rare, couldn't afford the new secret rare, or if he didn't want to play it because with it being legal, people might have been because with all the ways people have been putting in with Tapion in different colors, trying to have ways to deal with it, being too much of a target and not as a lot, feeling like it could be easily removed and instead going for Hatchak being a cheaper and more defensive, less expected in most nowadays in blue decks kind of secret rare, which is interesting to see. Also got the Boo Unison, we didn't see that for the last one, I don't think. And then instead of I think in the last one we saw the Goku Black, from the Goku Black counter from the starter deck in the last one, and this one we've got the Great Ape, just standard one, replaces off by drawing a card, and also a triple striker as well, and also a split for the super combos. Instead of just 3 of the Vegeta super combo, we've got 3 of the Vegeta, and we've got 1 of Zamasu as well for a kind of a way to rival because they do have the Kefla. And yeah, there's not much difference. Zamasu like everyone, like all the rest, and no real difference. No Frost Eddy Poison mained, just in the side instead, and playing the Vacu as well, because I can't remember if everyone had the Vacu in there for more Union Fusions effects. Then with the Z deck, nothing out of the ordinary. Exact same as everyone apart from, as I said, a difference in the yellow Z battle card used. But instead of Oolong going for the Goku as a nice way to help be a bit more defensive, go for the longer game, try and grind out the resources, be able to lock your opponent's leader down, make it prevent swinging or from even switching to active mode, which is cool. And then we've got I think it might be it might be not attacking, not keeping it respite, but yeah, it's not being able to actually attack. And then for the side deck, we've just got some helpful cards to help deal with it. So Turn the Tide in the side, and then a Jiren to help against Turn the Tide. Jiren, or the Tapion Unison for help against the Gogeta Secret if you go against the Mirror. And then the Baby is a good unison to come down that allows you to play the Baby for free warp, so you can push a little bit easier for a bit, like maybe even bigger push, but put their counter plays for free on your kill swing, plus also get some more draws as well. And then, interestingly, we got the hit, the one that is also posted around about in combination with the whole Aegis, the secret rare and stuff, being able to counterplay this, tap their energy, and then easily just Aegis get the energy back. So they're kind of a more of yellow in a blue deck, which is something you want to see, like the energy untap for blue that we've seen in the past when people tech beam before it's errated, and the untapping of energy and things like that with yellow. Harbor combination, but in the side, not in the main. So that is Ivan's deck. Congrats, Ivan, getting 10th place. Now we'll have a look and see what 11th place was. So for 11th, we've got good old Hatchak as the 11th place deck. Hatchak coming in, topping every now and then. I love a good bit of Hatchak, but yeah, I understand that a lot of people like playing it because there's the ill-perceived notion that Hatchak is a very slow deck when it does play a little bit slowly because it has a limited amount of swings. It's like the floodgate effect on limiting the amount of swings you can have is on both players, even itself. So it only really gets around about 3 attacks in a turn unless they drop one of their 8 drops down to get an extra swing outside of that. But it's not really Hatchak that's a slow deck. It's the opponents that make it basically when they go against it, make it slow because when you're playing against Hatchak, you do need to sequence correctly because if you don't sequence properly, you're not going to be able to get the maximum amount of swings possible out of your turn. You're going to be held off by its floodgate. So players need to kind of figure out how they're going to sequence the turn properly, make sure they're doing it well, and that can take a bit of time for considering what options they have and how they go about it, while also Hatchak trying to disrupt it and not let them do that while defending itself. So it seems pretty it seems pretty standard for Hatchak. It's mainly just defend yourself and just go on these big 8-drop swings that you can drop after you swung with whatever was smaller, like 7 or less, to then trigger the effect and then swing your 8-drop, so you get the full benefit. And nothing much really new from the new set. I can't really see anything new from the new set, but some interesting decks like the Demon God, the Shroomer Salsa 8-drop in here is a good some barrier removal for black. You got the Kai Secret Rares, and everyone helps that way. He stops leader if they go for Battleclass swings, cut off the leader unison swings, and even remove board as well. And then interesting with the removals as well, we got the new Cumber tech. I'm pretty sure the new Cumber tech. Okay, it might not be. I think it's in from the Trunks decks I've seen, but I know some decks have been teching in some Cumbers plus some of the new 7-drop ones to have a pretty good barrier removal in black from a cheaper card, which is pretty good. But then from the C deck, nothing really new, spicy, or anything for black decks. They have a certain amount of. They only really have black Z battle cards, Z stuff. And unless they got Archlight focus stuff, they just got the good generic ones, being these ones here. For the side, we've got nothing really special. Interesting to see the 5-drop hatch there as a way of mill. You got the Mechie board help as a way to stop things like on counterplay, almost like petrification, but on counterplay, stuff like that. But it's a little bit different to petrification, where it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop pending autos like petrification does. It's unique little ability, but pretty standard for most of the other black stuff. So good job, Lewis, another person who tops regularly in the EU as well, for getting 11th place. And now we'll head on and have a look at 12th place. So for 12th place, we've got David Allardyce. Or I'm probably saying it wrong, but I'm sorry if I have said that wrong. And we got that coming in with the first of the SSG trunks, because as you know, SSG trunks got a bit of support in the last set, and that support was actually really good enough to bring it back as one of the stronger, probably one of the stronger and strongest black decks. A little bit RNG like you get with most decks that burst and things like that. Just have to just mill themselves. but still very strong because we've got more things now that you can actually, like a secret rare that you can actually play if you do mill it, and where you want to mill it and stuff, and everything's that activate from warp and things like that. So pretty standard what I see from the list. Just interesting, some interesting text being like the pan floodgate. You don't really see that often used in most SSG trunks decks. And also you got a brainwashed, like Tenacious is a deck, a card this kind of main side between the main assign and the Masse and 7-drop. So nothing really spicy except from like or different, apart from the pan floodgate. It's not often you see that one. And then in the Z deck, pretty standard, like the new generic SS4 Goku Z battle card, the ZD that goes with it, and then just for the Boo and one of the Vegeta to help you take like control your life. And for the side deck, nothing real spicy, but interesting with the Rebellion Hammer being a new like a counterplay to have, or a counter attack. I remember it's a useful card to help deal with drop areas, to deal with decks that need stuff in the drop. So yeah, nothing very spicy, but good job to David for getting 12th. So now we head on to 13th and have a look at that. So in 13th we've got Bart with his reboot Soul Striker, leader that just like seems to pop up, like get hit, pop up because it's just a good generic blue deck. But now with its errata, it became almost the same as the original one, just there's a little bit difference on what they can do on the front side, being like benefits where on the front side, the old one only gets untapped, where the new one gets to untap or draw. And then on the Awaken side, the old one gets to untap any blue energy, whereas the reboot one only untaps mono blue energy, and the old one gets also a little bit of boost once you hit your turn 4 and get that fourth energy charge or fourth or fifth energy charge. Can't remember which one it is, but they've gone for the reboot one. This is got that more bigger benefit, I guess, of the drawing on the front side. And then it's just generic good blue stuff with a few techs. So got the Boo Unison, pretty standard for blue, and basically going along the line for things you might not see in it. You've got the boss card that's been used in most blue decks, but funnily enough, you've got some green like the cell pseudo super combo that you can play, the one that just combo for 1 cost 10k and draw a card. Having that because it's taking in a little bit of green with the Android 21 secret rare as a secret rare choice, and the Bad Omen's way to like, kind of burn and finish games off. Or to, if you're going to time and you need to get control of the life, get yourself down in our head, have that as an option. And then, funny enough, it's got yeah, it's got a King Cold 6-drop as a way to make your opponent mill. I think I can't remember if it's mill 5 or 6, but you mill a considerable amount. I think it is 5 you mill from it. And the later the game goes on, if you're going against a deck, or even like against black decks and they're self-milling themselves, and you get to quite low in deck, you just slam this down, make a mill 5. It's a dual attacker, 25k dual attacker as well, and then you get the untap energy when your leader swings as well to get two of those energy back. So that's pretty good. That's a good way to finish off the help against black decks. Not sure if many other blue decks do might incorporate that, but it is an interesting main deck tech. And then the Z deck, just good blue, just basically good blue Z battle cards with the blue Goku Z leader if you do get to turn 7 or 7 energy with the deck, and then the Vegeta to help control your life, and then just standard, yeah, just basically cards that help deal with certain matchup, just defense tools that most blue decks have. So yeah, that is 13th place. Good job, Bart, with that placing. And now we'll have a look at 14th. So for 14th, we come to the next member of our team, T-2, that made it top 16, being Francisco Castaman, one of the Castaman brothers, Super Castaman brothers, and coming in with SSG Trunks in 14th place. So you can see nothing too special. He does play the uh, Pan Floodgate, which is interesting, but 3 goes with them. But less tacked out with than the last one. Still got him to 14th place, doing pretty well. I think it was 3-2 the record in the end. And nothing I can see that's insanely spicy, but actually one thing is the gravy. It's got 2 copies of that to help put some of your warp back into your drop, which is normally something that's been used quite often in history for black decks to help build up your drop from your warp to do more overruns, things like that. And in the side we can see we've got Protected People, that's something we haven't seen so far in many decks. 2 copies of those, and 2 copies of Unexpected Turn as well. And I sort of counterplay to deal with decks that have basically go for a big board. And yeah, pretty good deck. pretty interesting lineup as well. And good job for Francisco. Another one of our team that's doing really well, like getting the practice in and just showing how well they're doing with improving with some of these results. So good job. Then we go to 15th place and have a look and see what we've got there. So for 15th place we have the last SSG being piloted by Dawid, and yeah, this is the one basically that I was seeing with the Cumber tech, which is pretty cool. So first one incorporating more than just like a bit more of set 22 apart from the new Goku Z battle card. And this one is incorporating the Cumbers card. So we got a new Cumber card in the form of the 7-drop, which gives black decks some very good barrel removal, which it was kind of lacking before. If you outside of using the secret rare as your barrel removal, and we got that, and it just needs you to have a Cumber in your drop to place under it when you do play it. So that's why it's got one of the 6-drop, which could be used, which could potentially come down and be played still in this deck, and then you got the 7-drop. So both cards that you can still play with them, play using them, but then 7-drop needs a Cumber to be milled, which you enough to do when you're milling yourself. No pan in this version, so no pan floodgate like we've seen with the other ones. And yeah, and with this one, another big difference is having 2 copies of Cracking Space Time in the side for this one. So that's quite interesting. Even though I think you can get from the Z leader, you can get double strike on the Z leader as it is, and Crack really only works with the leader. So maybe just for the 1-drop 15k, it's still not too bad, but not sure if this is needed in this one. But I'm not an expert of the decks, I wouldn't know unfortunately. But that is 15th, so good job, Dawid. And we'll see what the last deck of the top 16, if you've probably guessed what it is. Let's have a look at what the 16th place is. And here we go for the 16th place, and you've probably guessed it, it's the third of the new Aegis Gogeta decks, and coming in on the 16th place. So this one's a little bit different in the fact that, well, not a little bit different, but it's the second one that has the new SS4 Super Saiyan Gogeta secret rare. So remember we had Ivan's without a Hatchak, and the other 2 are having that secret rare. So not worrying really too much about the many ways people are just checking in their main side to deal with that. And just like with Ivan, he's got the Ape as well, and the Veku for another Union Fusion card to help deal with things rather than go. Because I think the main benefit the first player didn't, well, I think Manuel did with the Goku Black counters that it's a 0 cost 5k, so it's not dead in hand if you haven't got any energy or any way to untap energy to combo off, which shouldn't be an issue with this deck because you've got Aegis, but then as we've seen, people are taking more ways to just negate the skills and the Gogeta and stuff, so they can't actually use the Aegis, which could be an issue when you're holding out on using that as a way to defend yourself. And then same as Ivan, same kind of Z deck lineup, and then with Decide, pretty sound with it. Got the same with we saw before, the Baby Unison and the Tape on Unison for different unisons to help with like drawing, and you getting free use of the Baby counter, and Tape on to help deal with the Gogeta secret rare. Turn the tide with it, but no Jiren in the side to go along with side it to deal with any opposing turning the tides. And then Frost Deadly Poison, all 3 decks we've seen have had it, just some inside, not some in the main. And then just ever good green and blue stuff to help deal with it. As we've seen a lot of these unnegatable negates, which is a good thing. I remember I've been including them in most of my decks for a good while now because of like we've always had counter and decks that are trying to push for counters. So it's always nice to have that. It's nice to see that more people are putting in those in their sides and stuff. So that is it for the top 16. So we can still quite like a load of like there are regular EU guys that are players at top, and we saw that at least 4 new four decks for the new set topping. Only 2 of them though being the Green Goten and the Aegis Gogeta being the decks that are actually used from it. But then again, it only came. It was officially released the day before, being Friday, being yesterday, and then as well as that, people might not have been able to get enough stuff from the new set, so it's only like a short period of time, so it's not definite look at 22, but it is good to see that those 2 decks are quite strong coming out of it. So hopefully in the next lot of regionals, we should see more see more of set 22 and how it fares in the new meta. So that is it for me. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.